Someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
I'm a nasty woman.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
We confirm suspicions at Veritas. It's not a shock to you, but to get the employee at YouTube on tape admitting that they do it? I mean, you must be a threat if they call you out by name.
It's also what happens when you listen to the radio host, Alex Jones.
As of just a short time ago, and I'm talking about when this meeting started, on Twitter, if you clicked on the hashtag NYC terrorist attack, which is, quote, trending, marked with a red button saying, quote, live, the top tweet links to an InfoWars story with the headline, Imam, I warned de Blasio about New York City terror. He was too busy bashing Trump.
I don't know what happens in somebody's mind or how dark their heart must be to say things like that.
This is a real-time example of when we talk about this information being weaponized.
But Trump doesn't challenge these lies. He actually went on Jones's show and said,
your reputation's amazing. I will not let you down. You will be very, very impressed, I hope.
He still calls Alex Jones and talks to him, and, you know, the InfoWars
conspiracy
theories.
How quickly can you act, and what's your responsibility to set the record straight so that the people who saw this know that it's fake news, and at least at some point in time it can't keep spreading like some sort of virus through the legitimate world?
That's something we're thinking about all the time, because it's a bad user experience, and we don't want to be known as a platform for that.
The Russians ran an extensive information war campaign against my campaign to influence voters in the election. They did it through false news sites. They did it through these 1,000 agents. They did it through machine learning, which, you know, kept spewing out this stuff over and over again. And they began to have some of their allies within the internet world, like InfoWars, take out pieces and began to say the most outrageous, outlandish, absurd lies you can imagine.
Google is being accused of hiding negative stories about Hillary and her campaign by changing its algorithm to bury stories like the Clinton body count story. That's according to website InfoWars.
You have RT, you have Sputnik, you have Ruppli, and then I think you have them feeding other entities. InfoWars comes to mind, where those are echo chambers.
It's been widely reported that that company's been backed by the Kremlin, and they gave you 75,000 shares that you had to disclose when you went into the Obama administration.
Maybe you're looking at widely reported information from InfoWars.
No, I'm not.
But it is not
true. This is Politico. This is the New York Times. This is the Wall Street Journal.
No, it's not.
If a Google user types in Clinton body, they get car repair shop results instead of a story that talks about a list of people tied to the Clintons who have died under mysterious circumstances over the last 3 decades. Now, the latest story was the death of DNC staffer Seth Rich, who was murdered last month in an apparent robbery. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has hinted that Rich was his source, but has made no further comments about the case. That murder, we should say, remains unsolved.
The Russians, in my opinion, and based on the intel and counter-intel people I've talked to, could not have known how best to weaponize that information unless they had been guided.
All that stuff exists. You don't see it, you don't feel it if you're largely living in reality and in a mainstream media world. But it's undermining our democracy, and I think that the companies themselves, they've taken some steps. They have a lot of responsibility.
Companies like Facebook.
Google, etc.
Right.
To do what they can to essentially not enhance this.
How quickly can you act, and what's your responsibility to set the record straight?
The system self-corrected. That shouldn't be the first tweet you see anymore. It should be a USA article the last time I checked.
But you saw this.
USA Today. At lunch I did, yeah. And I also saw the system correct it.
That man's a threat to this country.
They didn't call out Fox News by name. They didn't call out anyone else by name. They said, When it comes to Alex Jones, we need people to scroll and manually find him and manually have to find that video. We're not going to allow that video, if it gets 10 million views, to be on the front of the so-called news carousel.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance. It's
Alex Jones.